I think we'll crack on. Well, look, first of all, I'm going to say thanks to the Bath Digital Festival for inviting me to speak, and for all of you attendees for choosing to listen. Before I introduce myself, I've got to give a quick reminder that this session is being recorded and it'll be available post festival via YouTube. But you can also use the Q&A function during this session for questions, which I can answer at the end. So, who am I? Who's Matt Abbott? I'm head of growth at Swanky. I'm responsible for supporting our clients in pursuit of their digital growth ambitions, nice and broad. Swanky are they're a leading full-service Shopify Plus agency. And what that means is that we don't just build websites, but we optimize them across the funnel. So customer acquisition, on-site optimization, and then customer retention too. First off, I'm going to answer a question, which is something that I'm frequently asked. Why is optimization important? Quite simply, you've got to run faster than the competition. Simple as that. And it's not just us that think it, thankfully. We commissioned a survey across the e-commerce industry to find out what the biggest priorities were for the second half of 2020. E-commerce, customer experience, and website improvements were all identified as the top areas to prioritize. That means that e-commerce businesses recognize the importance of making sure that their website is high performing, and it's to ensure that they continue to generate more revenue. And key point there, more revenue, not just generate revenue, but get more of it. I promise this is not rigged. We didn't just pick the data to make a point in a presentation, but you can probably guess that the method they wish to employ to address those priorities is conversion rate optimization. Pretty straightforward, right? Why do they want to invest in it? Because CRO, when run properly, is an effective and reasonably risk-averse method of improving your website through experimenting with new functionality, the customer journey, new copy, creative, different apps, different layouts, etc. It's all there to ensure that we keep ahead of the competition. So for Swanky, CRO is a method that we use to achieve commercial growth. It's not just something that we use for tinkering with websites. So today I can't and I don't aim to give you all of the answers, but what I'd like to do is make you think about how you use and access data to inform your optimization strategies. So starting with the theory, our process is cyclical. It's constantly evolving and learning, but it always starts with data. So we get access to as much data as we can to understand how customers interact with the website. That means we get access to GA, different business intelligence tools, CRM databases, CRO tools, any data that we can get hold of, we want to be able to access it. We then use that and compare it with how people behave on the website by looking at their behavior. So heat mapping tools are key for that. We also then ask customers for their feedback, and being a bit more specific about that, we ask them to tell us why they haven't bought. So really kind of drilling down into what the frustrations are and then backing that data up. Now, the reason why we do that is because it removes our opinion from the equation, and it means that we are directly addressing the areas of friction that customers feel exist on the website. So the main point to note here is that we cross-reference all of it. We look at it collectively, we analyze it, we interpret it, and then we hypothesize. We try to avoid using data in isolation because it never tells the whole story. So analysis of the data means that we can identify confidently the issues that customers face, and then we can address them. So for us, each test is the start of a story. We use it to justify our hypothesis, and we create a proposal. We identify the appropriate test metrics. And a key point to note here is that the test metrics might not always be commercial. We might want to push traffic down the funnel. We might want to qualify another idea. Once we've got a list of ideas, we prioritize them based on commercial potential and strategic importance. And that's because more often than not, we need to prove that experimenting is the right way to generate commercial growth. So going back to the point I made earlier, CRO is the method of identifying opportunities to achieve commercial growth. So when we start running tests, we monitor closely, we analyze the results, and then rather than discarding the test and just moving on, we understand why the result as it is. This means that we're constantly learning as the outcomes get fed back into the platform, and we continue to build on the foundations that we have started to lay. So it would be unfair, if I tell you all that and not give you some examples. So if we start at the top of the funnel, GA is telling us that customers are entering the site via paid ads, but they're failing to convert. I think, right, helpful, doesn't really tell us why. So we start asking questions. Put a survey up, starts to tell us that customers are being attracted by an offer, but they're failing to find it when they get to the site. So there's a mismatch in the customer journey. Now, the testable hypothesis is that creating a dedicated landing page rather than just a generic one for paid ads will convert more customers. Seems quite straightforward. Now, some of you will probably remember these dresses. We won't know. Basically, journey tracking tells us that customers are looking at multiple variations and are therefore hopping between product pages. Lots of clicks, lots of frustration, lots of bouncing around. Heat mapping verifies that the customers are engaging with those different colors. So the testable hypothesis that we come up with there is that the addition of color swatches will reduce friction and therefore increase conversion rate. And this is something that we have seen across clients. Instead of having multiple product pages for just different color variants, if you have on the listing page or the collection page, just one product, different swatches, reduces the length of time that the people are on the site, helps them reach a decision quicker, increases conversion rate. Next one, something that's becoming more and more popular across our clients is having relatable content. So customers are telling us, and it's across, like I said, a number of clients, their customers are telling them and us that they don't feel reassured that the garments will look good or fit to their non-model body shape. So we use heat mapping and event tracking to confirm whether users are scrolling through images multiple times. And the testable hypothesis there is that customers want to see products on real people. The imagery, therefore, needs to be carefully considered so that customers can actually visualize it themselves. This is a great test for you to run if you're considering investing in a user-generated content platform. So you should have access to, or can easily get access to, images that people are happy to have on their website, obviously with the right consents, but it helps you make the decision, understand just how much benefit can be gained from before you take the plunge and invest in an app or a UCG partner. So next one, something that requires quite a lot of consideration, and a number of businesses sometimes fall foul of it. But when you look at the search data and what you see from survey responses, that customers are saying they can't find the products that you stock, and you're sat there thinking, we've got it, why can't they find it? It should be straightforward. It's worth checking whether you're using the same terminology as the customers, particularly prominent when you're expanding internationally. Make sure that the terminology you use needs to, make sure it has been localized, for example. Navigation is something that sometimes gets overcomplicated, can be confusing. You can do all sorts to verify that, like tree testing, but ask your customers, conduct surveys, give them tasks, test what they've come back with, and if it works, implement it. So there's a couple of ideas for on-site, but I want to talk to you about some bigger opportunities here for optimizing your store. So first off, we've got loyalty programs. Loads of companies are investing in them for the right reasons, but some are missing the mark, especially at that launch stage. So many merchants consider giving discounts on second purchases, they referral codes, exclusive access to new product launches to get people to sign up. Which one's right? Don't know. But the answer will come down to what makes the customer feel valued and feel part of the brand. So the advice is to listen to your customers in the creation of your loyalty program. Don't overcomplicate it. Don't add 15 different stages and require them to have size 10 feet. It's not necessary. The other elements can be tested. You can test how people get to the page. They can test the copy that you use to sell it. Test the layout of the page. the key thing to remember is that the loyalty program is still something that needs to be sold. Customers signing up to it isn't just a given. And then subscriptions, a massive topic of conversation for the right reasons. But again, don't forget that customers want to be able to shop on their own terms, not on your terms. So the option, for example, when they go on holiday for a couple of weeks is to leave an order on their doorstep or cancel. Like, what's the choice there? They're probably going to cancel, aren't they? So you have to offer flexibility. And that means that you need to give them the chance to skip for a week or two, or maybe deliver to a different address. Speaking broadly about the proposition, you need to give customers a choice. They might not want the same old boring cheddar week after week. They might want a variety. They might want to be surprised. Finally, around timings, just allow your customers to shop how they want to shop. Subscriptions is supposed to make their lives easier. So you might want to adjust. They might want to adjust their quantities based on how they like to live. You might want larger quantities less often, or lower quantities more often. Again, all of these are testable. So I've whizzed quite straight through this actually. Key takeaways really. Testing needs to be viewed as a long-term process. For us, it's the method of removing barriers and achieving long-term growth. It's not just tinkering with websites. And most importantly, all of your actions should be informed by customer data. Thank you so much to our partners and supporters for making this event happen. I've kind of reached the end of my slides. Hopefully that's given you a few things to think about. We have got time for some questions and answers. So we've got one question: how to get contact details for customers to send surveys to? So there's different ways of doing it. You could do an on-site survey, in which case you don't need customer details. Otherwise, you should be asking for consent through your database, and then you can ship it out through your email service provider. Do we know of a reputable influencer link provider? A couple. I probably would need a bit more information. Happy for you to use my email address and we can follow up there. It's matt.abbott@swankyagency.com. Yeah, the presentation will be available post-conference via YouTube. Great. All right, we can leave it there. Thank you so much for listening. I hope that was useful.